Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with what's going on in Iran, right? With those mass demonstrations that turn into riots, turn into regime change attempts with the outside influence, right? Okay, that's in a nutshell what's going on over there. Because a 22-year-old woman died of a heart attack while in police custody. Anyway, I don't know if she died because it was killed by those guys or she had just a heart attack. I don't know. The problem is she died. Whatever happens over there, big riots and so on, by the morality police. Well, I'm not in the position to place judgment on other people's culture, so I will not. Personally, I say, well, maybe it's too far with that, but that's their country. They should run it the way they want, not the way I want or these guys want, because they might come and say, hey, wait a minute, you're doing something that we don't like, why don't you change that one? Anyway, unfortunately, she died. A lot of destruction, a lot of people arrested, and the Western weasels are yelling and calling about the human rights, and they're too rough, the police, this and that, and so on. Okay. Well, in the meantime, in Paris, the same thing happens. And I don't hear any, I don't know, human rights organizations condemning, or United States condemning Paris or French authorities for ruffling up the yellow vest protesters. That are they use batons to not to give them to suck, but to hit them, tear gas and all that, like that in Iran. But somehow Iranians should just allow the mobs or the protesters or the rioters, however you want to call them, go and change the regime. But here in Paris, no, we need order. Over there, no, you can't have order. So it's not double standard, triple standard. This article comes from Al Mayadin from today, the 20th of November 2022. Police uses tear gas, batons against yellow vests protesters in Paris. You can call them rioters, however you want to call them. Because when I'm going to make the comparison between these guys and those guys in Iran, you're not going to find much. Just that over there foreign agencies are trying to help something, but here I don't know. I don't have the evidence. All right, over there the Iranians arrested some French little weasels, agents they call them, and the Paris said, hey, why do you arrest French citizens? What are they doing among protesters? I'm going to call them protesters. Okay, what are they doing them? Do you go to visit a country and then you get involved in the protests? I personally would not do that. Would you? If you go and visit Paris and you see the yellow vest fighting with the police, would you get involved? Or you say, God damn it, show me where the Louvre is. Take some pictures or something. So, demonstrators were taking part in rallies commemorating the 4th anniversary of the start of the yellow vest protests in France. Police used tear gas on demonstrators in Paris who were taking part in rallies commemorating anniversary, the 4th anniversary. Commemoration is when someone died and you commemorate the years, and anniversary is when you celebrate. So I don't know what the fuck these guys are talking about. Of the start of the so-called, anyway, let's say the anniversary, they're having a party, okay? Yellow vest protest in France. The yellow vest weekly protests in France began on November 17th, 2018. In response to poor economic conditions and rising fuel prices, according to Sputnik. So that's bad management of a lifestyle of a country. Why? Because by having poor economy and managing it poorly, you affect my life. My children might die. I don't care if you let me talk or not, but I care if you allow me to have food or not. You know what I mean? So I think food comes before speak, if you want to, as a basic need. Protesters gathered in Paris on Saturday to demand social and tax justice, higher wages and pensions in the face of skyrocketing inflation, as well as lower prices for essential goods and energy. Social media videos show police pushing back demonstrators in Paris on Saturday using tear gas and batons against them. They were just massaging them. They were giving them services, because that's what the Europeans and Americans do. It's a service-based economy, post-industrial. It's okay. When you need things to eat, or you need clothes, or need anything else, ask the Chinese, okay? But can they blackmail you? Like the Russians could have blackmailed the Germans with gas? Nah, out of the question. The General Confederation of Labor, CGT, unions' nationwide strikes last week caused severe transportation disruptions in Paris and other major French cities. Demonstrators included workers from different sectors such as transport, education, healthcare, energy, trade and manufacturing, as well as supporters of the Yellow Vest movements and Ladies of the Night. The Geneva Protocol of 1925 prohibits the use of tear gas in warfare. Despite this, governments frequently used it to quell domestic protesters. Did you hear that? So the Geneva Protocol in 1925 prohibits the use of tear gas in warfare. Despite this, governments frequently use it to quell domestic protesters. I guess you're allowed to take care of your domestic population, but the enemies, you protect them. French police cracking down on protesters is not new news. Earlier, 100 injuries were reported in clashes between environmentalists and French police at a protest on October 31st against the building of a sizable water reservoir for farm irrigation in western France, according to the authorities. About 60 gendarmes, I don't know what it is, and 30 demonstrators were injured in the protest, which the authorities tried to suppress the Saint-Solin area. Additionally, tens of thousands of French people took to the streets last month in protest of the government's performance, Macron's economic plans for the country, and the rising cost of living. The protests were predominantly led by country's leftist coalitions. Good, very nice. So, technically, when people protest for their most basic rights in a European country, they are attacked and beaten under the pretext of pushing an end to riots. Well, it didn't happen in America because, I don't know, I guess the right people were looting or whatever, and for the right cause. Anyway, let's go back here. See how it is? Is the Iranians bad? Is the Western countries? It's okay. Don't give me little details. I remember when these guys in the Western countries, and they used the rubber bullets. So, and why? Order and discipline. How about Iran? Tyranny. All right, so take that little colored glasses off and shitty glasses off whenever you look at different countries, and put no glasses on and look at the situation as it is. As I said again, I have nothing with or against Iran. I have nothing with or against France. Why should I? They have their own countries. I take them as families. You can say, well, that's an international law for order and their human rights. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. Regarding the girl, the woman who died, 22-year-old, that should have been investigated without riots, without anything like that. No investigation? Well, riot and destroy, because, yeah, the government must fall. Corrupt? I would say, okay, if that's corrupt, I'm pretty sure in anywhere else, every other government is just clean as a squeaky clean, like a crystal. Yeah. Nah, nevertheless, it's just a, I think it's hypocritical, but that's how it goes. I will tell you a video that I watched 2 days ago, or a day ago, doesn't really matter, but. And it was a gathering. Where was the gathering? It was Twitter, or it was one of these platforms, and they came out, people, to protest some policy that there's some people protesting some policy of this, I can't remember what it was, Google or something like that. And then it came out about transgender and all that thing, you know. And then there were some counter-protests, protesters, and it was a guy on video, I watched it. It was with a wooden stick and with a sign that said something irrelevant. But he was against the protesters, and he was holding that up, like, I don't know, fuck off or something, stop, up. Those peaceful protesters, the tolerant leftist, jumped on his sign. The guy was holding his wooden stick. They tore his property. There was his property on camera. Those will be charged because it was his property. They broke it, and when they broke it, the guy remained with the stick because the sign disappeared. And the guy who broke it yelled, "He's got a weapon! He's got a weapon!" What would you do to that person? I would fucking smack that person. Not there, but, as a child. And that person works somewhere. Imagine you have that person and you are in a project with that person, and that person disagrees with your opinion or your assessment of the project. How do you think that he will do? He will want to get you fired somehow. So he broke the sign. The guy held his stick. He didn't do anything with his stick. Hold it. And the guy was still having it. And when he tore it down, he said, "He's got a weapon! He's got a weapon!" That is a human being. And that lives among us. A lot of them. A lot like them. A lot of them. And they are for masks probably. And probably they are for this. And probably they are for keeping you shut the fuck up. Because I don't want to hear, nobody wants to hear what you say. Only what we say. That kind of person. An adult. An adult. I was like, oh my God, look at that guy. And the guy was with a stick, didn't do anything. Because, anyway, man. He didn't even hit anything. He was just holding it because the guy was tearing it down. And after he tore it down, the guy immediately, he's got a weapon. Like, oh my God. And everybody was, ah. Yeah, the police come and arrest the guy. So you tell the same thing is with Iran and Iran, look at them, what they're doing. Oh my God, they do this with the protesters who burn shit. But here, no, it's fine. Order and discipline. We're going to take care of it in Paris. Anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.